One. Hello, we are Geeks Assembled, and we've gathered here once again today and tonight. It's again horror night, and we are talking Creature from the Black Lagoon. And we're going to jump straight into the lagoon with Stephen Price.
Why me?
Because you unmuted yourself.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, I was in two minds in watching this film. I said, oh no, not another B movie. Please, not another terrible acting one. But I thoroughly...
I didn't see any bees in it.
No, B movie, crap movie, as they call it. No, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I like the underwater scenes with the divers go under and you see the creature lurking behind these like bushes down below. I thought it was very good. I really enjoyed it.
Sorry, bushes down below.
Oh.
Sorry about that. That's
What?
just set me off now.
I don't know what I mean.
Not quite. Seaweed,
Underwater
you mean?
bushes
You mean seaweed?
Yeah, seaweed then. All
It's
right.
called...
Seaweed or whatever you call it.
Yeah, it's called seaweed.
Yeah.
Yeah, an underwater grass.
Yeah, underwater grass, whatever you call it. You know what I mean.
Bushes down below. Was you watching it lying down by any chance?
No.
All right, okay. All right then. Is that all you got? Is that your opening thoughts?
Yes, it is.
Who shall I move to next? Ethan, Susan, Alex, or Lee? Stephen?
Whoever.
Whoever, you're up next. Let's go to Ethan. Yes.
Well, if no one's going to go, I'll go. Yeah, I enjoyed this film. It's a good old classic B horror movie, isn't it? And it's one of the old classic Universal horror movies, which I love. I've got all of them on DVD. I love them. They're brilliant. Just good fun. And yeah, this one, I mean, I haven't watched them for a long while, actually. But I always get a kick every time that at the start when you don't see the full body of Gilman and you just see the hand go da-da-da, da-da-da. It reminds me of an old Doctor Who episode, if you get what I mean. You know, like you don't see the monster, just the whole da-da-da. And I always get a kick out of when he's reaching out for Julie at the start. When he's reaching out for Julie and you just, like ready to grab her legs, you just see. I'm sure it's almost like he's just almost doing this. He goes da 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 da. She moves away. But yeah, it's a good classic horror movie, and this one I know was done in 3D. Probably explains all the harpoons coming at you, all the smoke, the hand. Some decent acting and stuff, you know, for that time. It's not your typical B movie. It's actually a good one because B movies obviously are like they're meant to be silly. They're meant to be quite rubbish or not good. But this one's a good one. I like this one, and I love the design of Gilman. I've always loved the design of him, and every time he swims around, you gotta give that guy credit. I mean, the way to design suits back then and how long it must have taken for them to design the suit and him having to wear this thing. They're actually swimming around in this thing. Give the guy $1,000 for that. Well done. No, it's a good film. I do like it. I really do like this film. Yeah, it's a good fun one. I think that's pretty much all I could say about it.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine, yeah. Let's go to Alex and Susan.
Well, I love this series. I've always loved the movies. I like the sequels better. And, of course, they have 15 seconds of Mr. Clint Eastwood, who you know who he is. And yeah, it's a B movie, but it's a good B movie. It's not god awful, but it's not perfect either. Yeah, they did too much with the stinger music. That was getting on my nerves after a while. But yeah, I mean, I've watched this since time in memoriam. I remember watching it when I was 12. I remember watching it when I was 15. I remember watching it. I've watched, you know, many
And can I
different
just say, viewers,
versions. Go ahead.
this is all a very long time ago.
Yeah. All right. But anyway, well, luckily most movies don't age, and now it brought in 1.3 million. They didn't disclose the budget. It does have, as everybody else says, great scenes. They did a wonderful job with the costume. It doesn't look cheap. Even when they're corny, it doesn't go to the point where you're, you know, laughing incredulously at it. But I do like the sequels, and like I said, even in Boston, they played like at 8 o'clock the 3D version, and they did the, you know, now put your glasses on, the 3D glasses, and they had the hand reaching through the newspaper, all this other corny. But it's corny, but it's not too corny. It's not too. But yeah, I like the sequels. I guess they did an Abbott and Costello version as well. The TV series, I don't know if I'm familiar with it. But yeah, I mean, a lot of places, MST3K has made fun of the sequels too. And, you know, it's just a classic. They're trying to bring it back. I don't think that's going to work, though. Plus, they don't have to reboot everything. Please, stop rebooting everything, okay? Thank you. He goes,
They're not watching,
I
Alex.
agree. I agree totally. Thank you.
Okay. Well, Hollywood, if you're listening, listen to Alex. He knows
Yeah,
what
but
he's
what do you
talking
expect them to make? They won't make any films then.
yeah.
about. Okay, there is that. Let me just say, I wore my swimming gear because I just figured we'd go into the Amazon River. I mean, really, the Amazon River? You're gonna just take a dive into the Amazon without like worrying about
Well, Steven's in his speedos, you know.
leeches or whatever? You know, I'm just
And Lee's
I
got his
don't even know
mankini on under there.
what kind of creatures there are in the Amazon actually today. So anyway, that's you know, this lady Julie, she was just really brave, and these scuba divers who were, you know, at the first couple of dives, they actually did the come up slowly, you know, stop at your points and stuff, and do the proper procedure. But then at the end, it was just like whatever. And they started out, you know, looking for these archaeological, sorry, not archaeological, paleontological bones. You know, they're looking for this stuff in these strata, and they figured like this lagoon would have these things. And then by the end, they're all like, you know, the heck with it. We've got this gill man that we found. We're going to take him. We're not going to actually do what the university sent us to do or what our people sent us to do. We're going to capture this gill man. So I was like, what about the bones? What about paleontology? What about what you were supposed to be doing? Anyway, that was just my theory. But like, I really liked it. And I enjoyed watching it with Alex because he did know like about the sequels and stuff. So that was great. And so with that, I'll just dive in.
Splash. Thanks for that, Susan. Let's go to Lee. Let's dive in with Lee. See what Lee thinks. We're not going to the waters round her, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's a good fun movie. This is the last of the Universal Monsters series. You know, you had Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman, Phantom of the Opera, Invisible Man. And so the Creature series was the last Universal made, the monsters. Yeah, it's a good fun movie. It's for me. I mean, you don't realise when you're watching it, it was filmed in 3D. I didn't even know it was made in 3D when we mentioned it earlier, because that was the craze back then.
would it have worked better if it wasn't free? Well, as you say, you don't really get the 3D from it. But yeah, it's the underwater scenes for me are the best things in this. The way they were shot, the actual plays Gilman underwater, because there was two actors playing Gilman, the underwater actor and the one on land. So there was two costumes made because there were two different sized fellas. So watching the documentary, there was quite different builds and the head shape are different. So when they're on land, it's a different shaped head. When they're on water, it's different. It's a different shaped head. But, and the guy who was doing the underwater scenes, they wanted him to wear a breathing apparatus mask plus the mask. And he said, "Stuff that! I'll just wear the mask. I'll just swim about and come up for air every now and again." But yeah, as the underwater scene, just shot so brilliantly with those, those bushes down below. But it's with the acting, yeah, the acting is not, for me personally, not that good from the main actors, and this is why I think people class it as a B movie. Well, I don't think it. I mean, Universal wasn't known for doing B movies, but with the sort of slightly bad acting from the actors, it's sort of gone down that road of, oh look, Creature from the Black Lagoon, B movie, but it's also a cult movie now. But it's an enjoyable movie. It's it was a success because two more sequels were made the year after and the year after that. It's, that quick. Next year and the year after that. As I have seen the second, I mean, I've got all three, but I've seen the second sequel. That's okay, but I'm yet to watch the third sequel, where the Gilman turns human sort of. But yeah, it's a fun movie, and had by all. So that's my opening view.
Thank you, Lee. Yeah, I've always held back from watching this film because over the years, like, it's on telly, like, I swear, 3 or 4 times a year. This film is on telly 3 or 4 times a year. And it has been ever since time immemorial, But I've seen it, but I've not watched it because I thought, oh, it's going to be a cheap, crap B movie. And then when I sat down and watched it, I actually thought it was pretty good. The acting, okay, yeah, maybe Lee's right. It's not great, but it didn't bother me that much, to be honest. When I was watching it, I didn't really care. The Gill man looked fantastic. Really, the costume was brilliant. I could tell there was 2 different costumes though, because he looked slightly different out of water. But the underwater scenes were just so well filmed. They were just so well done. Yes, even the bushes down below. Everything about the underwater scenes was brilliant. And when she was doing a backstroke across the water, and then you've got him coming underneath her like that, and the way he was just moving around so elegantly, and just with his hands going out like that, trying to grab her and getting closer to her. I just thought it was, I thought it was brilliant. The underwater scenes were just really super impressive. But as for the rest of the film, it was enjoyable. It was definitely enjoyable. I would definitely watch it again. I'd definitely watch the sequels. I actually generally thought it was actually pretty good, even though, it is a B movie and the acting is a bit dodgy. But then there's loads of dodgy acting in films. What's the matter, Lee?
I'm just looking at the cover, and it's just reminded me when I was watching the movie. Does anybody else think that the Gill man had a bit of influence on the Marshmen from Full Circle, Doctor Who.
Oh, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I thought. Yeah,
Yeah, I thought that.
definitely.
I had just
It's
had to say
basically,
that.
Yep.
they basically are. It basically is him, really. The Gill man is them. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think somebody in Doctor Who at the time was a fan of this. Let's go to favourite moments. Let's go to Alex and Susan, because Susan looked like she's ready for another swim.
My favorite moment were the swimming moments. Yeah, I really liked the underwater cinematography was really, really good. They took it what looked like just a shallow little narrow inlet along the river and gave it such depth, like 40, 50, 60, 70 feet depth, which if you do any like looking at underwater depths, usually the lakes and stuff that you see are between 30 and 40 feet deep, usually. But, you know, there are lakes that go to 60, 70 feet if they're bigger. Anyway, but that's a lake. This is just a little inlet of a stream. So, I mean, it was incredible. Created a whole different world down there. And I liked the setting, the set that they built underwater, all the wildlife. I mean, I love that they stocked it with so much stock footage of fish and like coral reef type areas. That was really pretty. And so yeah, it was gorgeous underwater. So I'll say that is my favorite bit. And here's Alex.
Yeah, I mean, none of the movies are perfect, but considering that it was the 50s, considering that they, basically used a budget of $1 million, they did a lot with it. They had people from The Wizard of Oz creating their costume. That's probably why it looks good. And, that's the basis of movies and pop art, is that if you do it well enough, not only will it be a classic, but it will inspire other people to do similar things. As long as it isn't a terrible reboot or a terrible version of it. But thankfully here, even though it's not perfect and even though the acting is a little weak, we're not really watching it for the acting. We're watching it for the water and the creature and the atmosphere. And the other two movies are good as well. And the third movie where he is half human and half creature, and he is walking around. So that's pretty bold, even in the 50s, that, here he was kind of amphibious or underwater, and by the third movie, he's more human than, amphibian. But like I said, it could have been a lot worse, and the costume could have been terrible, and thankfully they got somebody from The Wizard of Oz who knows how to make the lion look good and the Tin Man look good, and don't forget about the monkeys, too. So that's one of the and they're talking about remaking that as well. Oh God, please stop. So, but like I said, even with Clint Eastwood's only in it for 15 seconds, I mean, it's just in the sequel, it's just the atmosphere, it's the way they do it. It's mostly serious. Yeah, it's a little campy, but I mean, you're watching a horror movie. You're not supposed to take it 100%. This isn't The Exorcist. You're not supposed to take it 100%, serious. And, the movies too, just like songs, they can be a little different. They don't all have to be knockoffs. They don't all have to be reboots. And that was the nice thing about watching movies from the 1930s to the 1990s, is that most of it was trying to work off an original concept. It wasn't all sequels until it became sequels, like in the 50s and the 80s. It was 10,000 sequels for everything. But
Alex just said you shouldn't take a film seriously. Think about that a minute. let's go. Let's go to Stephen.
What makes the movie for me is the underwater scenes, brilliantly filmed, and the creature behind the bushes, the seaweed, should I say. That was pretty scary scene, seeing him down there. Yeah, I enjoyed it. That's all I got to say. Yeah, by the way, the acting.
Can I just say, you could really reenact that scene in the bathtub, couldn't you?
Yeah, exactly.
I think that went over his head. Let's go. Let's go to Ethan. You just need a little toy figure of him. or you could just paint. No, just get some green paint.
Oh.
Stick some gills on the side.
Oh. Anyway.
No, Ethan doesn't. He's got that in his head now.
Oh. Anyway, favorite scene.
Well, everyone has to have a hobby.
Anyway, favorite scenes. Yep, pretty much the underwater scenes. Although I do love the scene where Julie Adams is swimming doing the backstrokes, but that's already been mentioned. I love that scene, and just how he's sort of like almost inspecting her, like sort of like looking at her and just inspecting her, like, oh, what is that? What is that? All the underwater scenes are great, and I've already mentioned one scene I like, which gives me a good. Well, there's two scenes that give me a good laugh actually. That bit where he's trying to grab Julie Adams' leg, and it's just the way his hand moves, and his hand is almost just. It looks as though he is about to go. But and there's another scene I like. I love the scene where Edwin is standing guard of Gilman, and the Gilman's in the water in the cage. I gotta admit, there's something about that has always given me a laugh whenever he looks underwater, and he's just got that little face looking up in the underwater, just looking up, just that face, like, you're gonna let me out? No, okay. Just that face, just on the wall. He's just totally still with that face. That gives me.
It's meant to be creepy, not funny.
Yeah, well, I know it's meant to be creepy, but I just find it funny because he just the way his face is just on the wall, just like, oh, good shake, get me out. But and I actually do like the ending bit when they're in the cave, like when that bit is definitely creepy when he comes out the water like that, and before he gets shot to death. He comes out the water like that, and it's all the mist and smoke, and that's a lovely setting, really well designed. The creepy cave, that sort of eerie mist and stuff. That's a good set. I think just those are pretty much my favourite scenes. Really, that's it.
Let's go to Lee.
Well,
Lee's favourite scenes.
Well, I'm not going to mention any of the favourite things because everybody said anything about it.
Yeah, I know everybody said everything. Yeah,
I'm going to mention, because this movie is about the humans going into the creatures' world, and there's certain scenes where the actress Julie Adams, she's having a cigarette. The creature's watching her from underwater, and she throws the cigarette into the water, and it sinks into the water. You know, and he's watching, and you get that feeling of what are you doing to my environment? What are you doing to my world? And then later on, you get the scientists and that lot dropping the drugs into the water, polluting the water, knocking the fish out or killing the fish. But the amount of stuff they put in the water. So polluting the waters. So this is the monster saying, "Get out from my well," which it's an environmental statement, to be honest. You know, for me, it's a good way of putting it up on the screen. I don't think many people understood what they were sort of saying.
No, when you put it like that, yeah. Now that I think about it, yeah, because
The Gillman wanted to save his environment because he'd mostly never seen human beings before they came into the lagoon and started experimenting and stuff like that. And then
Yeah, but I noticed that. That's the thing that I noticed. I just saw the Gill man is completely innocent and all this.
I knew that.
Yeah, all in the wrong.
Because if
he's never seen humans that close up before, so he's intrigued by him.
Yeah, because if you watch at the start with the two guys in the tent, he doesn't really do anything. It's almost like him putting his hand in, like going like, you know, when you do that thing like, is it safe? Is it safe? Is it safe? But then, of course, when they freak out, go, he's like, oh shit, fight.
Yeah, he doesn't hurt them like he doesn't hurt that woman, does he? When she's swimming in the water, he doesn't hurt her.
No, because she doesn't do anything that like the two guys did.
It's only when they're threatening him.
Oh God, they're going to kill me. I'll kill them.
Yeah, it's only when they're threatening him. Exactly.
Did you notice the drug that they used was roofie? Was Rohypnol? They mentioned they mentioned it by name.
Yeah.
So I mean, here they are meeting this crazy, cool swimmer guy in the jungle, and they roofie him and try to take him back.
I mean, also there's a little fact as well that the makers of the movie wanted the movement of the creature to be so graceful underwater. That's why they got the swimmer to do the underwater scene. But on land, they wanted the creature to be a bit more lumbering, different walk, not a monster walk. So they put lead weights in the feet of the costume.
Ah.
To make him walk a bit more lumbering. So they didn't want him to waddle like it's a man in a costume sort of thing. So he lumbered across the deck of the boat with these lead weights in his feet. So, but yeah, it's an environmental statement. He was looking after his world, and he wanted them out.
Yeah, because then they don't belong in his world.
Yeah.
They're aliens. They are aliens to his world.
It is a bit simplistic because there were a pantload of Native American tribes who lived in the Amazon and still do to this day, who were actually people that people groups that we may have not even met all of them to this day.
No, there's tribes in the Amazon that are still undiscovered. There are tribes in the Amazon, because that's how big the Amazon is, that are still undiscovered.
Never heard of the X Factor.
Well, anyway,
Never heard of. Of course, I've heard of Geeks Assembled, though, so we're all right.
I mean, isn't that the point? That's the main pull of the B movies, is that it is corny and it is campy, but on the other hand, it's easy to understand, and they have had a lot of B movies that it's about invasion, one way or the other, whether it's the aliens going to humans or the humans being around aliens. And I mean, we've done Mars Attacks, we've done Forbidden Planet, we've done Creature from the Black Lagoon. There's tons of movies
we're doing that now.
right, that have that B movie, ambiance, that understanding. And horror movies are like that too, or at least most of the good ones are, where you have this, you have underneath the surface either a political or a sci-fi or a, us versus them. And hopefully, if it's a really good movie, you get to enjoy both sides of the story, at the same time. The creature really isn't, a bad creature or mean or
not bad creature at all, no.
Yeah, so, I mean, he could be a merman or a gill man or whatever. But I mean, that's the other, reason for the space race and all that, was to try to see what's out there, what exists, things like that. And of course, we know that there's still animals on this world that we haven't seen. We haven't seen dinosaurs up close. We've seen the bones and the recreations and things like that. Right.
Oh, we
another
technically have
threat.
seen dinosaurs.
Right. And then
We
there's
technically, you know, turtles and that, and alligators, crocodiles were around during time of
Birds.
dinosaurs.
Birds,
Birds, birds are dinosaurs. That's what they are.
yeah, they're from the family.
Birds evolved,
Yeah.
dinosaurs evolved into birds.
Right. So you also have, viruses and bacteria, and of course, that's fun to make fun of a movie like that, because there is still a creepiness, another worldless of it where, you don't really think about what a virus looks like or what a bacteria looks like or whatever.
Hi, Brian.
So,
Happy birthday, Brian.
happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Brian. He's turned his camera off. He's still there, though. What was you going to say, Susan? Carry on.
So I really noticed that like I agree with you guys that the Gill man was underneath her, like trying to like shadow her to learn, like see how she moves,
Yeah.
and then also, we come in with Rohypnol and roofie him and try to take him back to our world. That's a
Yeah,
bad
because they forget about their actual mission. Just want to take him.
Yeah, that's a bad date.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we've said pretty much everything. We'll move to final say and score. Let's go with Ethan first.
I'm probably going to give this film probably an 8.5 out of 10. That makes any sense? An 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah, that is a score. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a score.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense? I mean, we've had worse. We've had like 1 billion trillion, so yeah, we can have 8.5. Yeah. Let's go to Alex and Susan for their scores.
I'll give it a 7 swimmer guys out of 10.
Oh, dear.
We like them swimmer guys, don't we, Susan?
Anyway, I'll give this a 7.5, even though I like the sequels better.
Okay.
But I mean, this started it off. It's a great studio. It's great makeup. It's great underwater scenes. It starts off with a brand new creature back then, anyway.
I'll raise mine half a point for the underwater scenes. You're right.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, I like the sequels better, including 15 Seconds of Clint Eastwood, if you can find out which movie it is. But it's in the sequels. So, yeah, so I'll give this 7.5. The sequels I'll give 9.
Second one, Clint Eastwood.
Let's go to Stephen for his score.
It was okay movie. I'd give it a 6 out of 10.
Oh, really? Oh, that's quite low for Stephen. Let's go to Lee.
I'm going to give it, I don't know, let me think. I'm going to give it 8.5 breaststrokes. I would say.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to stick with 8.5 as well, because the underwater scenes were just brilliant. And the creature, which it's what the film is about, is the creature. The creature really works. If the creature didn't work, it wouldn't work. It would look awful. But because the creature works and works so well, yeah, it can. It's an 8.5. Yeah. So tell us below what you make of this film. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Tell us below. I'd like to thank everybody here for joining me. I'd like to thank you for watching. Hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all our videos. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter. We're everywhere, just not in the streets. It's not acceptable anymore. We're not having it. Look after yourself. Take care. We will see you next time.